Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained, like someone just reached into your soul and took something precious, but you can't quite explain what? You weren't shouted at, you weren't physically hurt, yet something inside you feels twisted, like your emotions were used against you. If that sounds familiar, you may have just crossed paths with a narcissist, and they left fingerprints on your peace of mind. They don't need to raise their voice or use violence. Narcissists are masters of silent warfare, experts at control, deception, and emotional distortion. They blur your reality just enough to make you question yourself. One moment you're setting a boundary, the next you're apologizing for it. They make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. They manipulate your empathy, distort the facts, and chip away at your confidence, all while appearing charming or concerned. But what if I told you there's one simple question that can cut through their carefully constructed mask? One question that disarms their manipulation and exposes their true intentions in an instant. In this video, we're going beyond surface-level advice. We're stepping into the mind of the narcissist, breaking down their patterns, their insecurities, and the fragile ego that drives everything they do. And more importantly, you'll learn how to reclaim your emotional power without becoming cold or cruel. Because Stoic philosophy teaches us this powerful truth. You cannot control others, but you can always master your response. By the time you finish this video, you'll understand how narcissists think, the psychological traps they set, and how a calm, controlled question can become your most powerful weapon. We'll also explore how Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius viewed toxic people and how their wisdom can help you stay unshaken in the face of manipulation. Marcus once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, remind yourself, today I will encounter the arrogant, the ungrateful, the deceitful." Not because we should become bitter, but because we must become mentally prepared. You see, narcissists feed on emotional reactions. The more reactive you are, the more control they gain. But when you stay calm, grounded, and deliberate, you starve them of power. Stoicism reminds us, your reaction is your responsibility. Their chaos doesn't have to become yours. So, are you ready to take back control of your mind and your conversations? Let's begin. Narcissists don't always attack you openly. Often, they provoke in subtle ways, with sarcasm, silent treatments, or passive-aggressive comments, until you explode. Then they play the victim, saying, "See, you're the problem." This is how they manipulate you. They push you to get angry. They make you feel guilty. They force you to explain yourself endlessly, until you're trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." That quote holds the key to dealing with narcissists. It means, don't let them drag you into their emotional storm. The moment you react emotionally, you hand over the remote control to your mind. But the moment you stay calm, you take that power back. Now, staying calm doesn't mean staying silent when you're being mistreated. It means being deliberate. It means recognizing patterns, holding your ground, and choosing logic over emotion. This is exactly where the power of one right question comes in. Just one well-placed question, delivered calmly, can flip the dynamic. It can cut through their manipulation, break the illusion, and bring the truth into the light. But before we talk about that question, we need to cover something critical: the warning signs. Recognizing a narcissist early is the best way to avoid falling into their emotional web. Not every arrogant or selfish person is a narcissist, but narcissists reveal themselves through consistent patterns of behavior, and if you spot those patterns early enough, you can protect yourself before the damage begins. So what should you look for? One of the biggest red flags is entitlement. Narcissists believe they deserve special treatment all the time. They expect others to put their needs first, even when it comes at a great cost to you. Say no to them, and they'll often respond with explosive anger, cold resentment, or guilt-tripping. Another sign is a lack of empathy. They don't truly care how their actions affect others. Sure, they might act concerned when it serves them, but it's always superficial. When someone else is hurting, they dismiss it, minimize it, or deflect the blame. They also have an insatiable need for admiration. No matter how much attention or praise they get, it's never enough. They need to feel superior constantly. If they're not being praised or admired, they become moody, dismissive, or even hostile. And perhaps the most dangerous trait of all, manipulation. They twist words, rewrite history, and gaslight you until you start questioning your own memory. One minute they said something, the next they deny it completely. The more you argue, the more confused and powerless you feel. This tactic, known as gaslighting, erodes your sense of reality. And as Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you're constantly surrounded by lies and manipulation, your thinking, your entire worldview starts to shift. That's why awareness is so essential. Watch how they respond when you express a need or set a boundary. A healthy person listens. They consider your perspective, and if needed, they adjust. A narcissist, they'll argue, invalidate you, or make you feel selfish for even having boundaries. These are not small red flags. They are flashing sirens. And no, narcissists don't change. Not because they can't, but because they don't think they need to. They don't see themselves as the problem. So how do you reveal what's behind the mask? There is one question, calm, clear, and impossible for a narcissist to answer honestly, that creates a moment of truth. It goes like this: can you explain why your needs always seem to matter more than mine? Or, in another form, how do you feel about dismissing my boundaries to satisfy your own desires? This question is powerful because it shifts the spotlight. It cuts through excuses and forces them to confront their real motives. It challenges their belief that they deserve more than others. A healthy person, when asked this question, will pause. They'll reflect. They may even feel embarrassed or willing to change. But a narcissist, they'll react with deflection, denial, or even rage. That's how you know. Their reaction is your answer. A healthy, mature person will listen when you express how you feel. They'll try to understand or meet you halfway. But a narcissist, their reactions are often predictable, and those reactions will tell you everything you need to know. There are typically 3 common responses you'll see, and each one is a red flag. The first is anger. They might explode, insult you, or accuse you of being selfish. Their goal isn't to resolve anything, it's to intimidate you into backing down. The second is denial. They'll act like nothing's wrong and say things like, "I never said that," or "you're making things up." This is classic gaslighting, a manipulation tactic meant to make you doubt your own memory instead of their behavior. The third is playing the victim. They won't answer the question directly. Instead, they'll turn the conversation around and make you feel like the bad guy. You might hear, "I can't believe you'd accuse me of that," or "I do everything for you, and this is how you treat me." What you won't get is a calm, rational answer, because a narcissist can't give one. Their behavior isn't rooted in logic, it's rooted in control. This question disrupts their game. It corners them, either admit to selfish behavior or manipulate you into dropping the subject. Either way, their reaction reveals the truth. Stoicism reminds us that we don't have to argue with people who refuse to hear us. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." So when you ask this question, don't engage in their emotions. Stay calm, just observe. Let their reaction speak for itself. And what should you do next? Hold your boundary. Don't argue, don't explain, don't seek validation. You don't need their permission to stand your ground. Once you learn how to use this question strategically, you shift the power dynamic. You're no longer reacting to the narcissist, you're leading the conversation. But knowing the right question is just the beginning. To truly protect yourself, you must understand how to set and enforce strong boundaries. Let's look at how Stoic wisdom can help you do that without losing your inner peace. Knowing how to expose a narcissist is important, but it's only half the battle. The real challenge is maintaining your boundaries and not letting them manipulate you again. Boundaries aren't walls to shut people out. They're guidelines that define how you allow others to treat you. They draw the line between what's acceptable and what isn't. A person with strong boundaries doesn't feel the need to explain them endlessly. They simply uphold them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the foundation of the Stoic approach to boundaries. You can't control how others react, but you can control whether or not you stay true to your limits. To a narcissist, boundaries are obstacles. A healthy person respects your space. A narcissist sees it as a challenge, and if they manage to cross it once, they'll keep pushing. That's why your response must be firm and consistent. When setting a boundary, be direct. Keep it short. Don't over-explain that only invites argument. Instead of saying, "I don't have time for this right now," say, "I'm not available." Instead of saying, "I feel uncomfortable when you speak to me that way," say, "Don't speak to me that way." The more you explain, the more they'll search for weaknesses in your logic. Narcissists don't respect explanations, they exploit them. They'll twist your words, make you feel guilty, or accuse you of being unfair. If they push against your boundary, repeat it, without emotion, without justification. Don't argue, don't explain. Seneca once said, "He who has great power should use it lightly." Your power lies in your ability to stay calm and in control. When you enforce a boundary, don't raise your voice or show frustration. The less emotional you are, the less power they have over you. And yes, they will test you. They'll poke at your limits with guilt, sarcasm, threats, or manipulation. Because theory is one thing, but putting it into practice, in real-life situations where emotions run high, is where real growth happens. So what happens when a narcissist pushes, provokes, or tries to make you react? You don't take the bait. You don't fall into their trap. You stay silent. You stay composed. And that, more than any clever argument, will frustrate them to their core. Remember this, protecting your peace is not cruelty, it's self-respect. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes, until calm is your default. Now, let's explore how these principles work in real-world scenarios. Here are 3 relatable situations where this question can reveal a narcissist's true nature. Example 1. The workplace manipulator. Imagine you have a colleague who always finds a way to dump their work on you. At first, you agree to help. After all, you believe in teamwork. But over time, something feels off. You start to see the pattern. They're not overwhelmed. They're just using your kindness as a shortcut. Eventually, you decide to speak up. You say, "I'm not able to take on extra tasks anymore." And what do they say? "I thought you were a team player. I have so much going on. You're really going to leave me like this?" That's not a request. It's emotional blackmail now. Here's what you do. You stay calm, make eye contact, and ask, "Can you explain why my workload is less important than yours?" This question shifts the burden back onto them. It forces them to consider the fairness of their expectations. If they respond with defensiveness, excuses, or attack your character, they've shown you exactly who they are. A respectful person would ask for help, not expect you to carry their responsibilities. Example 2. The critical relative now. Let's talk about family. You've got a relative who never misses a chance to criticize your choices. No matter what you do, career, lifestyle, relationships, they always find a way to cut you down. Maybe they say things like, "You always act like you know everything," or "You have no idea how the real world works." In the past, you may have tried to explain yourself, but every defense only led to more judgment, more arguments. This time, you do something different. You pause and ask, "How do you feel when you dismiss my perspective instead of listening to it?" That's it. No anger, no defense, just a mirror. A healthy person might reflect on that. A narcissist, they'll react in one of 3 predictable ways. They get angry and insult you. They pretend they never said anything wrong. Or they shift the blame back onto you no matter their response. It gives you clarity. Because when someone refuses to acknowledge your feelings, they're telling you they don't respect them. Example 3. The dismissive partner. Now let's look at an example from a romantic relationship. You've started noticing a pattern. Every time you bring up something that bothers you, your partner never takes responsibility. Instead, they blame you. If you say something hurt you, they respond, "You're too sensitive." Or, "If you didn't overreact to everything, we wouldn't argue." Sound familiar? Rather than defending yourself and getting pulled into another exhausting cycle, you take a breath and ask, "Can you explain why my feelings don't matter in this relationship?" It's a simple, powerful question, and it can't be ignored by someone who truly cares. If your partner values you, they'll reflect. They'll reconsider. But if they dismiss, deflect, or lash out, you've just been shown that your emotional well-being isn't a priority to them. All of these examples lead us to one crucial truth. Narcissists reveal themselves when asked to explain their behavior. They cannot handle direct, honest questions because their power depends on emotional control, not truth. When you ask calmly, clearly, and firmly, you are no longer playing their game. You're seeing them, perhaps for the first time, as they really are. Here's a personal story that illustrates this in real life. I once had a friend, someone I'd known for years, who had a strange habit in every conversation. No matter what we were talking about, they'd always find a way to make it about themselves. If I shared something meaningful, a struggle, a small victory, a moment of vulnerability, the topic would suddenly shift back to their problems, their achievements, their complaints. At first, I didn't think much of it, but over time, I started to notice a pattern. They never asked how I was doing. They never followed up on anything I had shared. It was always about them. One day, After another long one-sided conversation, I decided to try something different. I asked them gently but directly, "Can you explain why my experiences never seem to matter in our conversations?" Their response came instantly. They laughed. They said, "That's not true. I always listen to you." So I calmly followed up, "Okay. Can you tell me the last thing I told you about my life?" Silence. They couldn't answer. Instead of reflecting, they got defensive. Then, as expected, they quickly changed the subject. That was the moment I understood this wasn't a friendship. It was a one-way connection, and I was the one keeping it alive. I didn't argue. I didn't demand an apology. I just observed their reaction and quietly made a decision. From that day forward, I stopped reaching out first. I stopped investing in someone who showed no interest in me, and just as I suspected, they disappeared. The moment I stopped being useful, I stopped existing in their world, and that silence, it told me everything I needed to know. That experience taught me one of the most valuable lessons. People who truly value you will listen when you speak. They won't dismiss your concerns. They won't avoid responsibility. And they definitely won't make you feel guilty for having needs. Stoicism teaches us that we don't need to fight people. We don't need to fix or confront them. We simply observe and then decide how we respond. So when you ask a narcissist the right question and they react poorly, here's what you do. Don't argue. Don't explain yourself further. Just take the information they've given you and adjust your actions accordingly. If someone refuses to respect your boundaries, they don't deserve access to your time, your peace, or your energy. If they consistently ignore your feelings, they're telling you loud and clear that their needs will always come first. The key is simple. Pay attention. Respond with wisdom now. Let's take it one step further. We're going to walk through some practical strategies and specific real-world situations so you can apply everything you've learned with confidence. Scenario 1. The narcissistic boss. You're working under a boss who constantly pushes your limits. They expect you to stay late, take on extra tasks, and never compensate you fairly. When you bring it up, they dismiss your concerns. That's just how things are. If you want to succeed, you have to make sacrifices. Sound familiar? Here's how you respond. Not with frustration, but with clarity. Can you explain why my work-life balance is less important than the company's demands? This question forces them to justify their expectations. And if they respond with anger, avoidance, or manipulation, now you know. They don't respect your boundaries. They see you as a resource, not a person. And at that point, you're faced with a choice. If your workplace doesn't value fairness, you have to decide, is this worth staying for? Scenario 2. The judgmental relative. Now, let's look at a common family dynamic at a gathering. A relative makes a snide, passive-aggressive comment. Must be nice to have such an easy life while the rest of us are working so hard. In the past, maybe you laughed it off or tried to explain yourself, but not this time. This time, you stay composed. You don't joke, apologize, or defend. You ask, how do you feel when you criticize others instead of showing support? A healthy person might pause, reflect, maybe even realize they crossed a line. But a narcissist, they'll likely lash out, deny their behavior, or make you feel like the problem. And that reaction, it proves something important. Their comment wasn't about you. It was about their need to feel superior. Scenario: the emotionally dismissive partner. You're in a relationship where your partner repeatedly dismisses your concerns and refuses to to take accountability for their actions. Every time you try to have a serious conversation, they reply with things like, "You're always so dramatic," or, "If you weren't so emotional, we wouldn't have these problems." Instead of rushing to defend your feelings, instead of trying to prove that your emotions are valid, you stay calm and ask, "Can you explain why my emotions don't deserve to be acknowledged in this relationship?" This question forces them to face the fact that they've been dismissive. If they genuinely care, they will pause, reflect, and adjust. But if they deflect, shift blame, or lash out, they're showing you, clearly, that they're unwilling to respect how you feel. These examples may differ in setting, but they all point to one core principle. Don't argue. Don't try to make a narcissist understand. Instead, ask a direct question, stay calm, and observe how they respond. Now is the time to take action. These strategies are meaningless if they stay in your head. So what should you do starting today? Practical steps to start applying. Step 1. Stay calm. Narcissists feed on emotional reactions. The more control you have over your emotions, the more power you keep for yourself. Step 2. Don't justify or over-explain. The more you talk, the more they'll twist your words. Keep your responses short, clear, and to the point. Step 3. If they refuse to answer or become aggressive, disengage. Silence is far more powerful than any argument. You don't need to win the conversation. You only need to hold your boundary. Step 4. Remember, it's not your job to change them. Your only responsibility is to protect your peace and honor the boundaries you set. Stoic wisdom, the foundation of everything we've learned. All of this leads to one simple truth. You cannot change a narcissist, but you can change how you respond to them. They thrive on chaos, on emotional volatility. They manipulate, distort, and spin reality to protect their ego. But when you see the pattern, you reclaim your power. So instead of trying to argue, instead of trying to make them understand or see your worth, ask the right question and watch their response. Can you explain why your needs always come before mine? How do you feel about ignoring my boundaries to fulfill your desires? These are questions they cannot answer honestly without exposing themselves. Their reaction will tell you everything, whether they truly respect you or just want to control you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That is the heart of Stoicism. Focus on your own values. Set boundaries that reflect yourself. Don't waste energy fixing those who refuse to change. Seneca also reminded us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Many people fear confrontation because they imagine the worst. But the truth is, the more you practice standing your ground, the stronger and more peaceful you become. The moment you stop explaining yourself to narcissists, you set yourself free. Your peace is worth protecting, your energy is worth preserving, and your boundaries deserve to be respected.